In recent weeks, online conversations have increasingly focused on reported post-divorce tension between Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson, with speculation intensifying after claims surfaced that sensitive family information may have been discussed beyond private circles. The discussion gained momentum following the Super Bowl, when renewed public curiosity emerged regarding the limited public visibility of Sir Carter. In digital culture, timing often shapes perception, and the proximity of major public events to emerging rumors tends to amplify narrative construction. Social media users rapidly connect fragments of information, forming cohesive stories that may or may not reflect verified reality. Within this environment, silence frequently becomes interpreted as meaning rather than neutrality, transforming absence of comment into a perceived response. Observers of celebrity culture note that privacy protection can paradoxically increase public fascination, as restricted access encourages interpretive speculation. The situation illustrates how contemporary information ecosystems operate through continuous feedback loops in which audience reaction influences narrative expansion. Discussions have expanded beyond individual claims to include broader themes of trust, confidentiality, and the fragility of personal boundaries within highly visible families. Some commentators emphasize that divorce-related transitions can complicate communication structures, particularly when extended family relationships intersect with public attention. Others highlight how modern audiences often seek narrative closure, even when only partial information is available. The resulting discourse reflects a complex interplay between emotional interpretation and informational uncertainty. Media analysts point out that public figures occupy symbolic roles that extend beyond their personal experiences, causing private developments to be interpreted through cultural frameworks of loyalty, conflict, and protection. As conversations evolved, ethical considerations also became prominent, particularly regarding the discussion of minors within speculative narratives. Scholars in communication ethics stress that the digital permanence of rumor can create enduring reputational consequences independent of factual verification. This broader context reveals how celebrity-related discourse frequently transforms individual circumstances into collective cultural interpretation. Ultimately, the episode demonstrates the powerful role of attention in shaping perceived reality, showing how personal family boundaries can become focal points of global discussion through repetition, curiosity, and interpretive storytelling.
Somebody wants to join.
And cut.
Public reaction has also generated extensive discussion about controlled visibility and parental strategy within high-profile households. Beyoncé and Jay-Z have long been recognized for maintaining deliberate boundaries between public performance and private family life, a practice widely studied within celebrity sociology. Occasional curated appearances by Blue Ivy Carter and Rumi Carter have often been interpreted by analysts as examples of gradual exposure designed to balance visibility with psychological protection. Experts in developmental psychology note that children raised within global recognition environments experience unique identity pressures, including early public scrutiny and symbolic representation beyond personal agency. Within this framework, selective exposure is frequently considered a protective mechanism rather than an indicator of secrecy. However, digital audiences often interpret limited visibility through narrative reasoning, assigning meaning to patterns of appearance and absence. This interpretive tendency reflects a broader cultural shift in which audiences perceive access to personal information as a component of celebrity engagement. Media theorists describe this phenomenon as participatory interpretation, where public observers collaboratively construct explanations from incomplete data. Communication strategists emphasize that non-response can function as an intentional management technique, reducing the lifespan of speculation by limiting reinforcement cycles. Historical patterns across entertainment industries demonstrate that reactive communication can inadvertently legitimize unverified claims by granting them institutional acknowledgement. The resulting dynamic illustrates a structural tension between transparency and autonomy in contemporary fame. Sociologists further argue that modern celebrity culture blurs distinctions between public persona and private identity, encouraging audiences to interpret familial decisions as symbolic narratives about values and character. Within such an environment, Parenting practices become sites of cultural projection rather than purely personal choices. Ethical discourse increasingly stresses that curiosity does not inherently justify intrusion, particularly when discussions involve individuals without public agency. Scholars emphasize that responsible media consumption requires differentiation between public interest and personal entitlement. The broader conversation, therefore, transcends individual rumor cycles and becomes a reflection of how society negotiates privacy within systems of global attention. By examining these patterns, analysts reveal that the discourse surrounding visibility often says as much about audience expectations as it does about the individuals being discussed. Ultimately, the debate illustrates how digital environments transform family privacy into a shared interpretive space shaped by collective observation and symbolic meaning.
I envisioned the type of man I wanted, I prayed for the type of man I wanted, and I got pretty much that. Is he perfect? Absolutely not, but he has a lot of the qualities. He has a lot of the qualities that I love, and we're having a really good time, and I'm enjoying life. So there is.
Beyond interpersonal and cultural dimensions, the situation also invites examination through legal, psychological, and communicative perspectives that shape how public narratives evolve. High-profile separations frequently involve confidentiality frameworks designed to preserve stability and prevent reputational harm, reflecting the recognition that personal disclosures can carry far-reaching consequences within attention-driven media systems. When speculation arises regarding the boundaries of such agreements, public discourse often shifts from individual behavior to institutional trust and information governance. Media ecology research suggests that contemporary communication environments do not merely transmit information but actively restructure it through repetition, emotional resonance, and algorithmic amplification. Within this structure, uncertainty itself becomes a driver of engagement, sustaining discussion even in the absence of verified updates. Psychological analyses indicate that prolonged public scrutiny can generate significant emotional strain for families navigating already complex transitions, particularly when narratives are shaped externally rather than internally. Crisis communication scholarship consistently emphasizes the strategic value of restraint, noting that controlled silence can preserve long-term credibility by preventing escalation cycles. At a broader level, the situation highlights how modern fame produces dual expectations: visibility as public currency and privacy as personal necessity. Cultural theorists describe this duality as the transparency paradox, wherein audiences demand openness while simultaneously acknowledging the need for personal boundaries. Ethical frameworks addressing digital discourse stress heightened responsibility when conversations involve individuals who have not chosen public roles, particularly children whose identities are still forming. Observers also note that contemporary media participation transforms audiences into co-authors of narrative meaning, distributing interpretive authority across vast networks rather than centralized institutions. This diffusion of narrative power complicates efforts to maintain clear distinctions between fact, interpretation, and assumption. The resulting discourse reveals how attention economies prioritize emotional engagement over informational certainty, allowing stories to expand through resonance rather than verification. Ultimately, the ongoing discussion functions as a case study in how modern celebrity culture operates at the intersection of personal experience, public interpretation, and technological amplification. It demonstrates that within global attention systems, privacy is not simply a personal preference, but a continuously negotiated boundary shaped by legal structures, cultural expectations, and collective curiosity.